This is Bill Thompson, KI0IN. This presentation is designed specifically for Wyoming ARES RACES operators and their served agencies. Other viewers should check with their organizations as appropriate. This slideshow is the first of a few slideshows and provides general understanding of the interactions between ARES RACES operators and their served agencies. It is not of a technical nature. This information is also based off the newly acquired Strategic Technical Reserve equipment purchased by the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. So we'll be going through the purpose, the application of the equipment, and also working with a served agency. So what is the purpose of the package? Now, first of all, the ham radio operators are there to provide backup communications. And this particular equipment is not necessarily available to most ham radio operators due to general costs. Provides standard operating equipment, too, for people from one spot to the other. This equipment was originally intended to be used for communications between the state operation centers and the DRT regions. But with additional equipment, the equipment also could be used by counties and inter-county communications. While this equipment will normally be used for communications around the state of Wyoming, it can communicate much further than that. With the same equipment, my son was able to communicate with Japan, Alaska, and other places on his first try from Salt Lake City. So, in the application, what modes are we going to be using? Well, the primary one, and the one more than anything, is phone, which is the same thing as voice. You're going to see all your tactical communications go over phone. Now, this equipment also allows digital communications, the best available to ham radio operators. It's really great for long lists of supplies, for instance. Unusual jargon, such as strange medical terms, at least strange for ham radio operators. Works great in adverse band conditions and has some degree of security. All these packages are identical. You're going to have the same equipment, same memories, same computer programs, cabling, and whatnot. This allows operators to move from one site to another and know what equipment is there, be able to turn on the radio and immediately communicate. This shows the most common interaction, but the agency and operator should determine what interaction is best for them. So what are those digital capabilities? Well, we can send text files, we can complete forms, send photos, even Excel spreadsheets. We'll be mostly sending these point to point. In the future, we can also do it over the internet, but right now we want to stick to point within the state. Let's now discuss the package equipment itself. Well, there's two main pieces of equipment that comes in the package. First of all, we have a transceiver. We have a Yaesu FT897D and comes with an antenna tuner. And the other is an SCS PTC2 Pro. Some packages have this particular TNC, others have different TNCs, but they're all made by SCS. All of them have Pactor 3 licenses. Additional equipment comes with the package also. Antennas, sorted cables, whatever. The FT897D is a great radio. Made by Yaesu, it's very durable, mil-spec, has dual VFOs, and quite portable. So what are we talking about as far as the radios go? What do they look like? Here are some basic types of ham radios. Base station radios have many buttons, dials, meters on complex faces. This allows the operator to quickly change various settings, improving reception and transmission. This is the portable radio that comes with a package. Many of the features on the face of the radio are now put into hidden menus. While this takes the operator more time to change to the finer features, it gives a simpler, less complicated face, which is better for emergencies. And mobile radios place even more of the features into menus. Hams may also use satellite radios in the hobby, but seldom do they use them during emergencies. So for portable radios, to reiterate, we have menu-driven, they're durable, and the portable radios also may be used as a base station, but won't work quite as well as others. Most HF licensed hams should have very little problem with learning this radio, being able to operate it during emergencies. However, whenever you use any radio, and even after you learn it, whether it's your own or not, you have to keep training on it. So monthly training is highly recommended. Here we have a photo showing the radio, the TNC, and also the antenna tuner. The antenna tuner is attached to the left-hand side of the radio as we view it, and shown clearly here. This tuner should be used under most operations with the radio. Let's move on to the TNC itself. This is very similar to a modem, only instead of being used on the internet, we'll use it for ham radio operations. These TNCs, all of them, have the ability to communicate using PACTOR 3. Again, this is a very quick way of communicating over a HF radio. That's mostly used for communications between the counties and the regions and on into the state emergency operations center. They're rather operator friendly. PACTOR 3 is just one protocol that ham radio operators use for digital communications. There are several others. RIDI, for instance, used to be your standard teletype, and there's lists of some of them that actually the TNC will work with. We'll be using two types of software to communicate on the TNCs. First is RMS Express, which is similar to an email program, and the other is FL Message, which is used to fill in forms and has standard forms that some agencies will use. So what additional equipment comes with a package? Antennas, both VHF, UHF, and HF antennas. Also comes with coax and connectors. And all this equipment, the radio and additional equipment, TNC, will all come in a Pelican case so they can be moved from one spot to another with ease. Now I'd like to speak about the interaction of the served agency and the radio operator. I will first speak about phone communications. It starts with the originating agency determining what they want done. This could be from having the radio operator use exact wording over the radio to having the radio operator perform general tasks requiring the radio, such as finding out how many tables there are at another location. The other location may also be known as the remote location. The agency informs the radio operator what needs to be done. They usually do this orally. The radio operator then begins working on the assigned task or speaks over the radio as directed. The radio operator will talk to the remote operator and work out the details. This contact may be direct from one operator to the other, or it might go through one or more repeaters. They may be using high frequency or ultra-high frequency. The agency may never know actually what interface the radio operators are using. The receiving operator assures that he or she understands exactly what the originating agency needs. The receiving operator then informs the remote agency what is needed. This is usually done by word of mouth. The receiving agency then determines the appropriate action. This may be to ask the originating agency questions using the reverse process. Digital communications is usually quite different than phone. It's more methodical, more precise. It's more like official, technically checked email. As with phone communications, the originating agency determines what they want transmitted. This could be long detailed lists, spreadsheets, photos, maps, etc. The agency will likely have someone with knowledge of the subject check it, and maybe initial it. The checker then gets the information to the ham radio operator. This could be by Ethernet or SneakerNet using a jump drive, for instance. Digitally is usually best. The information should be ready to send. You should never assume the ham radio operator can type well, or much at all. The transmitting operator gets it into a form that can be sent over the airways. He or she will assure that the message meets FCC rules, such as not making money, stock sales, even when you want to sell immediately during a crisis. The radio operators then transfer the data. The receiving operator modifies it, if needed, into a configuration the receiving agency will understand. The ham will then give the information to the receiving agency using a method as previously described. The receiving agency will then determine the appropriate action. Now I'd like to speak about the process that hams may use in the interface of their equipment. The transmitting operator's equipment may interface with the receiving operator's equipment directly, but also may use intermediate equipment. It's quite possible that hams will use another digital ham radio mode known as packet. Long antennas may be required for long distances. The HF antennas that come with the packages are 102 feet long and will be erected 30 feet above ground. The nearby stations may only require smaller antennas, similar to those used on cars. Using digipeaters may help at some venues. Other configurations are also in the ham's toolbox. I hope you know now why the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security purchased the Strategic Technical Reserve equipment, what is in the packages, and how the hams will make use of it. Well, this brings us to the end of the slideshow. I hope you found it informative, whether you're a ham radio operator or a served agency. Ham radio operators should continue on and view the next slideshow. There they'll find more of the particulars of the equipment itself, how it works, and ways to go ahead with it. Served agencies, this should be the final slide. This is Bill Thompson, KI0IN, out.